You're still watching TVC Breakfast. We now take you all the way to the center of unity where we have Eshamamo Imodu and Tijesu Adeoye. Abuja, Inakwana, the conversation is with you.
Thank you so much, Ria. Another beautiful Wednesday morning here in the FCT. And of course, our table is loaded this morning. So sit back, relax while we'll give you what we have for you today.
Good morning, Nigerians. It's nice to be here on this midweek edition of FCT Brief. TJ?
Let's take it away.
Yep.
Well, good morning and welcome again to FCT Brief. Today, Nigeria stands at a critical crossroad, from rising urban crime to complex security threats stretching across communities. The nation faces what many are calling a defining moment for law enforcement leadership. At the center of this conversation is IGP Disu, a man stepping into one of the most demanding roles in the country. The expectations are enormous, the pressure unmistakable, and the stakes could not be higher. Across the country, citizens are asking tough questions. Can intelligence-led policing finally take firm root? Will community trust be rebuilt? Can coordination between security agencies be strengthened to effectively confront banditry, terrorism, kidnapping, and cybercrime?
As Nigeria's security architecture evolves, the challenges before the Inspector General of Police are not just operational, they are structural, strategic, and deeply connected to public confidence. This is more than a leadership transition. It is a test of reform, resilience, and results. To help us review these expectations and the realities on ground, we are joined by Dr. Stephen Okwori, security consultant and strategist, fellow of the Nigerian Army Resource Center. Now, with years of experience analyzing national security frameworks and advising on strategic reforms, he brings valuable insight into what must change, what must be sustained, and what Nigerians should realistically expect in the months ahead. Now, Dr. Okwori, nice to have you here this morning.
Good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Now, every time we get a new police chief, the rhetorics are always the same. Restore peace, fight crime, reform the police. But oftentimes we end up disappointed because things don't seem to change. Now, is it a leadership problem or a structural problem with the Nigerian police?
I think that they are all encompassing. It has to do with leadership because as a leader, if you lead by example, you expect your subordinates to follow suit, right? And it has to do with structural and institutional challenges as well. The Nigerian police was established in 1930. So what that means is that this year, 2026, Nigerian police will be 96 years old. And we currently have the 23rd indigenous IGP. So for me, I think that we started experiencing deterioration with the Nigerian police when we started having indigenous police as IGPs. And we haven't seen any remarkable improvement since we started having indigenous IGPs. They come with a lot of vision, and we don't see that play out, right? I want to commend Mr. President for appointing this IGP that we currently have. Looking at his background, he's an operational officer, and it has to do with also intelligence and all that. If you look at the military, for instance, any officer that is within the infantry corps, there's the possibility of that officer becoming the chief of army staff. He has more advantage more than officers in the education, engineering, and the other corps. But in the police, it's not applicable like that. Anybody can become IGP, you can be a PR professional, and they will appoint you IGP. So, but with what we are seeing now, I think we see a square peg in a square hole, right? He's an operational guy, and of course we need somebody in the operations, and that's also headed units or departments, within the institution to be able to do what he needs to do in changing the tide
All right. It's good that you clarified that issue because, the word on the social media and public comments are saying that, it was appointed based on ethnicity because the president is the Yoruba man. And so therefore that's why he deserved that appointment. But it's good that you clarified that. Now let's look at the security architecture of the country. Security is... insecurity rather is widespread in Nigeria, and there's growing calls for state policing, which the president also backed. Yeah. Now, if that state policing becomes a reality, how would you say this new IGP can prepare the police force in a way that it doesn't rival, the state policing, and it's quite effective and strengthening our, security architecture?
Yeah, we have a central policing system, and it's controlled by the federal government. And that has been the challenge coming from different quarters. The governors have complained that they don't have powers over federal police. And there's this clamor. The clamor has been there, coming from even traditional rulers and some critical stakeholders, why there's need for state police. I think that the essence of state police is to see that policing gets to the grassroots. If you look at the federal structure of police that we are currently experiencing, you will discover that if you go to these very remote communities where this crime happen, these violent attacks happen, you won't see the presence of the federal police. You won't see soldiers. It is when the damage is done, and that is when you begin to see orders, directives, asking for the intelligence and tactical squad, deployment of this police to go to this crime scene. When the damage is done, for me, that's medicine after death, right? So, looking at the state police, the whole idea is to see that there's presence of police in our rural communities. Because as we speak, as we're talking here in your studio, there are no presence of police in our rural communities, right? So, for me, I think that it's a welcome development. Each time you hear the president have audience with either governors or members of the National Assembly, there's always this idea of creation of state police on his agenda, because he knows that the National Assembly has a critical role to play with regards to the creation of state police. They need to tinker with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 214 or so, where they need to do some amendments, right, that can or should accommodate the creation of state police. So if we have a federal police up there being controlled by the current IGP, and we have state police that will be controlled by the governors and maybe commissioners of police that will be appointed within the state at the state police area, there won't be that conflict, right? The Constitution will clearly spell out what they need to do at the different levels. Right. But there are some fears with regards to state police, right? But maybe in the course of the conversation we can discuss the fears.
All right. I'd like us to still talk on this structural issue. You said this new IGP is a man who has been deep in operations, so it's a plus. But if we go back, the former police IGs, hardly will you see anyone appointed to become IGP that's never been a divisional police officer or an area commander, commissioner of police. These are all operational portfolios. They've all held that. Yes. And we still end up being disappointed. And so we had people who were not deep in operation, like this is deep in operation. Yeah. Now, if the structural issue you talked about, if it is not worked on, what magic can this man bring to bear? Even if he's an operational man, operating the same structural defect we have. What changed? Yeah,
that's the reason why we see that there must be some critical reforms, right, within the institution. As the operational man, he knows what is there. He has the institutional memory of the police, right? Don't forget that he has spent close to like 34, 35 years within the institution. So, coming from his experience, right, and the leadership role he's going to play, there's a lot that he needs to know that he needs to do, especially in the area of intelligence. We experience intelligence gap when it has to do with police operations in Nigeria, and that's why they are failing. Police institution has become an institution where they now report casualties, numbers of deaths, meanwhile their mandate is prevention and detection. And don't forget that when it has to do with internal crime, the police is the lead agency in the paper, in the document. But the question here is how well are they leading practically when it has to do with leading, being the lead agency, when it has to do with addressing internal security challenges, right? So the point here is he knows that the IGP knows the challenges, and I'm pretty sure that he knows what to do, but I think that he needs to consult more in the area of intelligence gathering. Nigerians, the police needs serious training, whether we like it or not. We have failed in that regard when it has to do with intelligence operations, intelligence-led operations. Then there's a lot that he needs to do in the area of the morale of the police. We are talking about their welfare here, right? The last IGP, for me, was not operationally fantastic, and that is why we saw some issues bordering on police unable to meet up when it has to do with response time, where there's a lot that we need to do. When it has to do with emergency response, the Nigerian police is so slow, right? Because they only go to this crime scene or incident scene when the damage is done. We need to see how to improve on that, right? Don't forget that he was the commander, IRT, Intelligence Response Team. That's the IGP monitoring team when it has to do with kidnapping and some other criminal activities. He headed that unit for a while, and he performed fantastically well. So the point here is that we have to give him the benefit of a doubt that he's coming to assume the office of the IGP in this critical time, this critical moment when the public expectation is so high, right? And looking at the security landscape, a lot of insecurities are there before him. If he wears a long sleeve as uniform, I think that this is time for him to roll up the sleeves, because there's a lot that is before him. He needs to convince Nigerians that he has the capacity to occupy such an office. We need to see how to build public trust and confidence, right? There's a lot that he needs to do. I don't hope that time permits us as we get along so that we can say all of this.
Well, speaking about this tax that you speak of with the, before the IG, given the police is being underfunded and, largely overstretched, do you think that these expectations that you're presenting is quite realistic, for the IG to achieve? Or is it just simply being set up to fail?
Yeah, you see, I just told us here that Nigerian police will be 96 years old this year. And unfortunately, an institution such as that their mandate is to protect the lives of Nigerians and their property. Last year alone, we lost about 4,654 Nigerians, right? This year, this is January, February, today is just 4th of March, we have lost close to 1,258 Nigerians. So the point here is that the man needs support, that is one. He needs resources, because addressing insecurity issues anywhere in the world is not cheap. So he needs resources to be able to achieve that. We have not gotten it right when it has to do with deployment of technology, right? He needs resources to also do that, to achieve that. So whatever we are saying here, the man needs resources. He needs enough boots on the ground. As we are talking here, we still have less 400,000 police officers, to police well over 230 Nigerians. Yes, they are recruiting more. About 50,000 have started enlisting and all that. But Nigeria, looking at our size and the resources that is before us, that we have, Nigeria has the resources. I don't want to find myself in a situation where we say the police is underfunded, Nigeria does not have the money. We have the money. If we deploy, if we pull out the money, right? We see Nigerians that are politicians amass so much wealth. These are taxpayers' money that's supposed to be used to protect Nigerians, right? So the man needs these resources. He needs to see how to improve the institution, right? Technology does a lot beyond what humans do. How well are we even using forensic science? In Nigeria here, I saw a scene where police officers were deployed to an armed robbery scene. I saw a police officer carrying the guns of these armed robbers with bare hands. So training is very key and very critical, training and retraining and all that. So if you look at what is happening at the military level, we have some U.S. troops that have come into Nigeria. Now, the essence of why they are here is to see how to train our military forces in the area of intelligence and surveillance and all that, and the use of technology. Don't forget that these technologies are not produced here, right? We import them. We rely on foreign countries to see how to come with this technology. They need to be trained in the use of this technology. So there's nothing wrong with engaging certain police institutions, even outside the shores of this country, that have performed well in their country to come in here and train our police. And the police training should not be at the top alone. It should trickle down, because we have other ranks that are down there that are not well trained. And meanwhile, they carry out also police operations, so they also need to be trained as well.
All right, we still have a lot to discuss on this matter, but let's take this short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with FCT Brief. Now, we're still discussing expectations and challenges before the new IGP Disu.
Dr. Steve, just before we talk about the expectations from the new IGP, if, like we said earlier, if certain fundamentals are not fixed, he would just be like, well, it's been set up to fail.
Exactly.
Because if the structures are not there, the reforms are not there.
Yeah.
Now, to what extent can the National Assembly help in this? Do we need to take a look at the Police Act? Some persons have asked that you have the Ministry of Police Affairs, you have the Police Service Commission, you have the Police Council, you have the Office of the Inspector General of Police. Are there things we can streamline? Service Commission, Ministry of Police Affairs, so that when police is funded, bulk of the money will not go into administration and salaries.
Yeah.
It will strictly be for operations. It's just something the National Assembly can do in this 2026 budget that is being worked on.
Yeah, you see, just the way I said, the police is the lead agency, and they need to see how to lead, take up the mantle of leadership now, because all the years gone, we haven't seen where they have led the way they are supposed to lead. Right. I happened to be in a function where we had military officers and all that, and an IG came and was presenting his paper, and he mentioned that the police is the lead agency when it has to do with internal crime. When it was the turn for a Major General to speak, he challenged the AIG. We are partners in this. When you come, you want to intimidate us with the statement that the police is the lead agency. How well are they leading when it has to do with internal crime? That's a challenge, right? We have military operations everywhere in Nigeria, and that goes to show the weakness of the police. Otherwise, why should we be having military operations in every geopolitical, so all the states, there are military operations? When I hear National Assembly members asking for the sack of service chiefs before now, because of the insecurity issues in Nigeria, I begin to wonder, it's not the responsibility of the military to help address these issues. The mandate is for the police, and they are not asking for the sack of the IGP, Now, the fact here is that we have a president that is listening. I have taken my time. I'm a researcher, right? In as much as they said the immediate past IG resigned based on family issues or health ground or whatever, I've gone to do my findings, and the man failed in some areas, and that was why the Mr. President asked him to leave, right? I don't want to begin to say things that he did, but I think that it is better for Nigerians to know that the man did not perform. He got himself involved in a whole lot of mess, and that was why he was asked to leave. Otherwise, he's supposed to leave on the 27th of June or so, 2027, right? Now, the issue now is that the National Assembly has a lot to do. I talked about amending the Constitution with regards to having state police. I think that they need to go to go beyond that. The Police Service Commission is for disciplining and promotions, ratification of promotions and all that at the officers level. We have the Ministry of Police Affairs. I think that ministry is not performing optimally. I haven't seen the Minister of Police Affairs come out since he was appointed to make certain. What kind of intervention has he brought? What kind of innovation has he brought to make the police function optimally? Right. So a whole lot is not adding up when it has to do with the Ministry of Police Affairs. If they are not performing their duties the way it's expected of them, I think that is there's no need keeping the ministry, right? Because we have seen a president before now that came and scrapped the ministry when it was existing and all that. There was a reason why the president then had to scrap the Ministry of Police Affairs. The Senate, the House of Reps, they have committees on police affairs. They have committees on the police and all that. What do they do? How well are they carrying out effective oversight function to see that, okay, there is need for us to streamline? These are reforms that are supposed to even come from the National Assembly. We have discovered that the Ministry of Police Affairs is dormant. It's not doing what is expected of them. This is a suggestion coming from the committee. Let us see that this doesn't happen. This is taken off and all that. We're talking about cost of governance here as well. If a certain ministry is not performing well, I don't think that ministry should remain. If the minister is not the one that is not performing well, the president should take him out and bring somebody that will help the IGP that we have now to perform well. I think the need for constant innovation, they need to think outside the box to reform the police, right? So for the current IGP to succeed, I think that the National Assembly needs to also support him. Right. We shouldn't see distractions coming from the politicians that will make the man derail. Right. I've started seeing politicians congratulating him and all that. This is a thoroughbred professional. Right. For me, those congratulatory messages were uncalled for. Seriously, sincerely speaking, he was appointed based on his experience, the leadership role he has played in the offices that he occupied and all that. So these are things that we should just commend. But rather than coming to the media and congratulate him, they shouldn't make him lose track, right? So the man needs all the support that he deserves, both from the citizens, public, how well is the police engaging the public, right? We have the community policing initiative. That community policing initiative is a philosophy that has to do with constant interaction between the Nigerian police and the public. In 2018, when that initiative was launched, 18 billion naira was spent to launch the community policing initiative. And I don't think that money went down well. People are not, enlightened enough to be able to have that constant interaction with the police. That confidence, we need to build it. We have seen where citizens reported cases to police. At the end of the day, they became victims. The suspected citizens that they reported to the police came after them. Where is that confidentiality? So there's a lot that we need to do. The police needs to work also with the National Orientation Agency. That enlightenment. They need to speak to Nigerians in a language that they will understand. Right? We have 3 major Nigerian languages and Pidgin. The NOA, they need to see how to collaborate with the police as well. So there's a lot that the IGP needs to do. But when he consults, because there are a lot of things that he needs to do, he needs to consult with private security consultants, because I don't believe that a critical reform or change can happen within the police when you don't involve people from outside. Traditional rulers, religious leaders, critical stakeholders. We must see how to have town hall meetings with them regularly to know. Before now, we used to see police carry out foot patrol. They come to a community, park their vehicle, walk within the community and ask questions and all that. We don't see that happen now.
I like the direction with which you took this conversation, especially with the political interference. But we'll come back to that right after this short commercial break. Let's pay some dues. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, as we wrap up this conversation, you spoke about political interference before we went on the short break. Now, I'd like to ask you, how much of Nigeria's policing challenges stems from, this political interference that you speak of, especially during election? And can the IGP truly function independently? I'd like you to give us your honest opinion.
Yes, he can truly function independently if he so wishes to, function independently. Right, because we're talking about a profession that is headed by a professional. In as much as we see the appointment as a political appointment, don't forget that he is in charge of the institution. Now, there's this political interference. Unfortunately, we have politicians that have amassed so much wealth that when they put you at a point, at a spot, and you begin to see offers that they make, you begin to think of your problems, even like 10, 15, 20 years problems ahead, that, okay, if you compromise, you can use this to solve some issues or challenges that you have. But the point here is that if you want to be professional, there's nothing that should distract you. I said it here. Politicians should not distract the man. I think this is an opportunity for the current IGP to reset the police force, right? Improve on their image. Let the police become an accountable and effective institution, right? We have the elections coming forward. The elections ahead of us. I think that is going to be a litmus test for the IGP because we have started seeing political thuggery already. Recently in Edo, there was this attempt, so to say, on the Peter Obi and the other politicians that are out there. But the fact is that if we have a police structure, that their attitude must change. Right? Because we're talking about behavioral and attitudinal change here. Because an average policeman, everybody knows how an average Nigerian police officer behaves. Right? We must see that shift from that unprofessional conduct or way of behavior to a new image that I think that this current IGP should work on. Right? Because when you, of course, as Nigerians, when you drive on the road, you see a whole lot that happens on the road with regards to our police officers and all that. So the point here is that we have some Nigerians that are looking at the current IG. Certain things needs to move out from the current narrative that we are aware of to something very different, right? So in the next election, for instance, politicians, political parties will be looking at him. We expect a neutral police structure that should be unbiased, and all that in the affairs when it has to do with the election that we are going into in 2027.
Dr. Steve, oftentimes we say police is your friend, and truly you don't see that action when it translates to how they relate with the people. But a police force that is ill-motivated, to what extent can they truly be your friend? And if you want him to succeed, what role can welfare of his men help to swing things in his favor?
A lot has to do, whether we like it or not, the police are also paying the supreme price. They also die in carrying out these police duties that we're talking about. So we need to talk about their welfare. I mentioned their welfare in the course of my conversation. We need to talk about their welfare, and we need to talk about their promotion. Some of them are due for promotion. They've been pending and hanging there for a while and all that. Their remuneration, how much are they paid? How much is their allowances? All these are things that he needs to consider as he assumes office. The good thing here is that he is coming from the same institution. He knows when he has to, what the challenges regarding their welfare, right? They need to be motivated. If they are not motivated, you don't expect them to be committed. You don't expect them to bring out their best in the discharge of their duty. Unfortunately, in Nigeria as we speak, a lot of our police officers don't have passion for the job. We see outside the shores of this country, a young boy wants to be a police officer. A young boy wants to be a military officer and all that. But in Nigeria as we speak, a lot of them don't have passion for the job. They got into the job because they don't have jobs. And the politicians have dominated the scene of recruitment. They send in lists of their constituents for them to be enlisted or recruited into the police, right? Without even consulting them, right? Do you want to go join the police? So you see, you must have passion for the job for you to be able to do what you need to do to protect your country, because the country has integrity. In the event we are seeing where police officers were trying to see how to collect monies from foreigners, it's a dent on the image of the country, right? So there's a lot that we need to do, a lot of reforms.
Because of our time, because we've totally run out of time now, but I would like to ask you, what benchmarks should Nigerians use to judge this new IGP, especially when public trust is low? You spoke about low morale on the part of the police officers. What are the benchmarks that Nigerians should use to judge this new IGP?
A lot is out there. First of all, we'll have to see that the behavior and the attitudes of the police change from what we currently know, right? When you go to the street now and interview citizens of this country, just ask them about the image of the police. You won't get positive results. It will be negative. The police is this, the police is that, the police is that. That should change, and it must start from the police officers. Their attitude, their behavior towards their profession needs to change. Misconduct and all that. There's a lot of abuse of human rights, and all. The police officers have a lot to do. Their image is battered. And that's why I said this current IGP that we have is an opportunity for him to reset the police force so that they can, their image will come out good and all that. And we'll leave the rest to God for us to answer.
All right, it's a fine place to leave the conversation. We must say thank you so much for your insights on the program, Mr. Okwori. It's nice having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of our conversation. Now we'll hand over to Lagos, where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you so much, Abuja. That was quite a fantastic conversation. Thank you.